Welcome into the 5 Wide podcast. Today, recapping week 3, but I mean, football's pretty stupid anyway, guys.
Why? Is it because you have your stinky diaper on because the Chargers got their ass handed to them yesterday?
Yeah, football's kind of stupid. Imagine that there are people out there that watched football for the first time last night. You're like, maybe you're a student. Your buddy was, your friends went out for the week or went home for the weekend. They came back Sunday night. You're like, dude, man, you got to give football a chance. Like, watch some NFL, bro. It's awesome. You'll love it. And then they had to watch Russell Wilson and Jimmy G go at it last night.
That was horrible.
Jimmy G doing the fucking Cincinnati backhand in the back of the end zone yesterday.
Did you know that was a safety pick six?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even realize that he threw an
pick
interception.
six. Yeah, he somehow fucked up the play even more after doing it.
A lot of good stuff happening in the back of the end zone yesterday. The butt punt.
Oh yeah,
the butt punt straight into that guy's sphincter.
And Jimmy G. Again, if you guys are new, if you haven't watched the show, we are presented by Betfred. They offer a bet 50, get 250 when you sign up over at Betfred. So go sign up there. Link down below in the description. If you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video as well. Comment down below with any of your thoughts on week 3. But I do want to start with we will eventually get to the Chargers and all the excuses that I will have for them. But we got to start with Sunday night because it was comedy hour. That game was atrocious. I cannot believe that Nathaniel Hackett managed to convince whoever owns this. What's his name that owns this team? Why am I forgetting now? Quarterback.
John
Elway, that he should be the coach. Because
there's some positives you could take. I don't think they had a delay of game penalty yesterday. That's good.
Good help from the fans.
Making an impact already.
One, that's a green check mark, and then they won. They did win 11-10, but they won. So we're getting
2-1,
somewhere,
bro.
How many straight 3-and-outs they have? 7?
Man.
6?
It's just also though, like, the receivers suck. They were sucking yesterday.
I don't
They
know.
couldn't catch
Judy dropped that post he dropped was bad.
Yeah. There was one actually. Well, Travarius Ward tipped it, but it still landed right in the bread basket, and Jerry Judy fumbled the bag.
There was also late in the game. There was a 3rd and 6 on an outright route to Judy that Wilson just horrendously.
Yes. That was really bad actually. I do remember that.
I feel like Russell Wilson plays for himself fairly often. Like, there was a sack. I tried to find the replay footage of it. I thought someone might have shared it on Twitter, but there was a sack that they gave up where the left tackle made, like, blocking for maybe 4 seconds, I would say, close to 5, and Russ gets sacked, and the tackle just has his arms up in the air and does not help him get up because he's like, I'm sick and fucking tired of blocking for this dude. Because he is not willing to push the ball into, like, tighter windows, which any good quarterback should be willing to do. He's too concerned about his completion percentage, and he's too concerned about not turning the ball over, and he's just not willing to give any guy a chance to make a play.
Yeah, he barely threw the ball downfield. Do you think the Broncos offensive line is implementing the longest yard mean machine, what they did to Adam Sandler?
No.
I think they might be at this point.
I know he holds onto the ball
They must hate him,
fucking
though.
long.
They are good.
Like
the offensive
They're
line.
Very good offensive line.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I understand that part. Garrett Bowles, phenomenal, big fucker right there. He's not letting anyone pass if he really wants to. But when you have someone who's so happy-go-lucky about being 2-1 and winning football games by
Did you see the post-game
that
comments?
much?
No, I saw him running off the field.
What a game. You know, I can't remember exactly what his words
like back
were.
and forth, just great football.
Back and forth,
that was my favorite.
Football.
Like, bro, you played like absolute
What the
shit, dude.
He doesn't have a realistic bone in his body.
I saw an all-time meme on Twitter. It was like Russell Wilson's like face like zoomed. You know, they did zoom in photos, and it was like, there's no one in the Broncos that fucking likes this guy. Like, he had 2 years left on his Seahawks deal and negotiated like extra deals because he knew he was done. Like, he knew he was on the back 9 of his career, and it was just
that would be interesting.
Makes sense. Imagine. I mean, he looks. You said it best. Like, he's airmailing throws that are 10, 15-yard crossing routes, and they're just not even close to the guy. Like, that just.
Maybe, that's not Nathaniel Hackett's fault.
Maybe he needs
It's Nathaniel Hackett's fault that they just run the ball and like they're terrible on the first 2 downs. Like they're putting themselves in terrible situations on
Bengals
third down.
kind of do the same thing right now too.
Yep.
Bengals dub though.
There are a number of teams that have been doing that lately. Like even the Chargers are like that. They can't run the ball worth a shit and they just keep running it.
Right up, and it's like no like extra scheme. They're like,
Just
no,
halfback dive.
Yeah, halfback dive straight into the fucking biggest defensive lineman on the other team.
Yeah.
That backfield being split too just frustrates the fuck.
Oh my
Sarah and I were
God,
talking about
dude.
this in the
Melvin
car this
Gordon.
morning.
Dude,
You
Mike
can-
Boone had like a 19%
Yes.
snap share.
Give me a fucking break. Who is that? Why is he playing football?
He's been
Javonte
around,
Williams
bro.
is a
Mike
second
Boone's
round
been
pick. You're not even using him. Melvin Gordon was a first round pick, I'm pretty sure. He was
Yeah,
a
he
first
was.
round pick by the Chargers, right?
Melvin Gordon, yeah.
It's like 25th pick.
And you're putting out this Mike Boone character who has no business being on the field.
That's kind of an all-time.
Javonte Williams anytime touchdown should have hit yesterday. Still hasn't hit. I'm not going to stop betting until it hits.
That was the other thing I want to mention was about the backs. I didn't get the final target numbers because I use PFF to check like all these stats, and when we record, we're not at the point where everything's available. But I think that I know that they had 8 catches between the 3 backs. Boone didn't have any catches, but I honestly think every play it was Russ like holding onto the football and then just throwing it straight across and checking it down to his backs. Like I don't know how many targets they had.
Melvin Gordon had 5 catches for 29 yards.
Right.
3. I don't know targets though.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because
I'm
they
not
had
sure on
8
targets.
between the two of them. They had 8, but I bet you they had 11, 12 targets because there was a couple of drops on those just like right out to the flat that had like 3 San Francisco defenders that are right there ready to tackle him. He's just checking the ball into places where he can get an easy completion because I think he was 20 of 33 yesterday, which is like, oh, that guy probably wasn't that bad. Well, they only scored 11 points and they have 3 touchdowns in 12 quarters of football.
Yeah.
Javonte had 3 catches for 2 yards. Like 2 total
There
yards.
you go.
And I
Like,
love it. Like, did you see when Russ was like about to get sacked, but then he like shovel passed it, like kind of chest passed it actually, I guess, to Melvin Gordon? They're like, oh my God, see, that's what they need him to do. Get out of the pocket, be creative with the football. Like,
I mean, they do need him to do that though.
Yes.
Realistically, like,
And he wasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't been. He's been sitting in the pocket all season or through these first 3 weeks. All right, let's move on. Let's move
It's a
on.
shithole.
I was on this Russell Wilson. It's kind of funny because we all bet on them and they did cover
Yeah,
for us.
they
And
did win, yeah.
But man, and I guess we can quickly before we move on. Is there anything you take away from the San Francisco side? Like Jimmy G was pretty bad.
he looked pretty shit. Kittle really didn't look he didn't get the ball a ton.
Nope.
Wasn't used a lot. Looked pretty invisible to me.
I'm not ready to make too much of a decision on.
Neither
No.
am I. I'm
No.
still on the Niners, and I'm still backing Jimmy G from where I was last week. Because last week I said they're better off. I know Denver's a tough place to play, man. Denver's a tough place to play in a primetime game. Not to say Jimmy's played in big games like that, but
Yeah.
he played one of the worst games I've seen him play. So I'm not going to take too much from it. I'm going to give him a couple more weeks and then make my final mind up. But I'm still with them.
Yeah, I got you. I feel the same. I feel the same way. It's kind of funny that we're on the other team, so like on Denver so badly, but we're not on the Niners about how bad they played.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well, it's because it's like people maybe expect it more from Jimmy G because there's this narrative around the NFL that he's just, not the guy, but he kind of is a guy.
Speaking of, as we move from Nathaniel Hackett, speaking of other Green Bay, fantastic Green Bay coaching minds. Let's talk about the Bears. The Bears have completed 23 passes through 3 weeks. How the fuck did Matt Eberflus get this job? Like, you think about a defensive head coach, right? Or a defensive coordinator getting interviews for a head coaching job. Beyond, like, if you're up for that position and you are going to get it, there's going to be a serious conversation had about, hey, how are you going to handle the guy that we traded multiple first-round picks and buried the future of this franchise to be able to get? How are you going to make sure that this dude is successful? Like, what did Eberflus say to this ownership to be like, yeah, we'll get it done with Fields. Like, I will make sure that he progresses in his career. Because the dude has no chance to progress if he's going to attempt 11 passes a fucking game.
Yeah.
As much as I hate, like, and you know me, I've been saying Justin Fields is overrated as hell for long before this year started, but I'm not. It's more of a coaching thing. You know how hard it is to be successful in an organization that's just been in the mud like that? Their offense has been shit like the last few years. It's not just this year. It's been really bad this year because expectations are a bit higher. But
like, I mean, they won. They won. Their offense overall success, like the success of their offense hasn't been absolutely terrible, but it's not a sustainable way for them to.
no.
they're not going
win.
to like. It's not going to amount to anything.
No.
The pace they're playing, and yeah, it's hard to be successful when the play calling is dog shit. They're not moving guys around like they should be. Like Fields holds the ball too long. But that's because their play calling, no one's fucking open. It's just boring shit.
They can't. If I'm a Chicago Bears fan, I'm thinking, okay, we're 2-1, we're running the ball well. That's good to see, but I don't really care. Like, I don't have any expectation that this team's going to win football games, make the playoffs. I want to see the guy that we invested a ton of draft capital in progress in his career and be better. Like, Fields, not only did he look terrible, he didn't get a lot of opportunities. He's not getting a lot of opportunities to progress as a passer. And it's a situation where he's not. I always thought, I think this was a very poor thought process in my mind of thinking that this guy would be a great NFL quarterback because of his ability to run, but he's not a guy that ran in college that can then progress and do it well in the NFL. The style that he runs with, he can't accept contact. Like, he's terrible at getting hit, so you can't traditionally run read option with the guy because he can't take contact well. Like, he'll hurt himself, like he did in that the semifinal of the what was that, the college football playoff, where he got the helmet in the ribs because he turned his back because he didn't want to get killed.
From who was it? Wasn't that Clemson safety?
That was the Clemson linebacker. I can't remember his name now. Weird name. Skalski. Yeah, Skalski. Yes. So, I think Fields, it's over. Like, I thought.
Yeah, I'm putting Justin Fields in my Baker Mayfield category at this point in time. I saw far too many airmails yesterday that led to interceptions. The fact that the Texans did not capitalize on that, it's concerning a little bit.
Davis Mills gave it right back.
Yeah. And Dameon Pierce fumbled twice yesterday too. So just be careful about that. Be careful. Both teams that people think they're going to get better, they're not getting better.
No.
At all.
Yeah, I think I don't know what the Bears are going to be able to do because there's so many other holes on this roster that you could just keep recycling. Like, if they end up, I know they're 2-1, so maybe they don't end up with a top 5 pick. I think they will. They're going to have options. They're going to have the more traditional quarterback in terms of NFL profile, and Will Levis as someone who might not go in the first few picks but could be available to them depending on where they pick. Or you have the C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young early options. But again, there's so many other holes in the roster.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of... Oh, wait. Do they even have... Wait, they have a first-round pick this year, right?
I don't know.
This past year, they didn't have a first.
Yeah.
They have a first-round pick this year, I think. But anyways, what do you guys think about moving forward with Fields or even this offense in general?
I've been off
I mean,
the ship.
he doesn't have the best options at receiver right now. I will say that. But you know what? Trevor Lawrence has better options, but they're not that much better. And he looks great right now. And this is both 2 years removed from the draft.
I mean, you're seeing Equiminius St. Brown get a ton of that's their wide receiver room is not top
Pringle
notch.
got
No
hurt
question.
too.
Yeah, no question.
Mooney's doing nothing.
It's been not at least in those games, you can see quarterbacks with talent who can sling it. I just haven't seen him have that game. He turns the ball over so fucking much. Fumbles, interceptions, that's not NFL football. It will not work out for you. So especially with the Bears, where they don't put up a lot of passing yards and score a lot of points, you just can't have that.
All right. The Bears are in a very weird spot, tough spot if you're a Bears fan. Even though you won yesterday, you're 2-1.
You did win.
They're
you guys
fucking drinking the
2-1.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you're drinking Kool-Aid.
I told Adam Hunt this morning, Week 3 Super Bowl champions, because they're 2-1. It's they're basically the best. They're on top of the moon.
Yeah,
the happiest franchise right now.
Probably pretty close.
But yes, they do have a first-round pick.
Yeah.
They do have a first-round pick. Okay, Eagles. I want to know if you guys think the Eagles are for real.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts has 0 turnover-worthy plays through 3 weeks. He's the only quarterback to do that. Their defense looks unbelievably good. I think Carson Wentz, played a part in making that defense look really good, giving up 8 sacks yesterday. But I mean, the Eagles look. The Eagles look unstoppable. They look like the best team in the NFC right now.
They do. They do look incredible. They're the Super Bowl champs. They win. It's done. No one's. I don't know, man. The defense has looked really good the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Carson,
talk about shutting down Justin Jefferson, whatever. Not this week, the week before too.
Carson Wentz got sacked 5 times on his first 8 dropbacks.
Yeah, he had 5 sacks before the first quarter was over.
Exactly. This D-line is fucking menacing. Yeah. Their secondary is starting to look a lot better than it did week 1. I think this tackling was the issue in week 1, so we can attribute that to rust, sure. And then the rest of this offense, Devonta Smith, coming out party, you might say. He made some incredible plays that really helped them win that football game.
Big time.
Yeah, and AJ Brown continues to just dominate with the low targets at his being
Devontae
thrown to
Smith
him.
was on one yesterday.
But yeah, Hurts, and the way he's throwing the ball too, like
Looks so good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like dead perfect spirals right on the money. Like they're obviously peaking a little too early. Like this is, and they do have one of the easier schedules, so this could look like maybe like a Bills kind of Packers thing when they get to the playoffs and then they lose, like the Packers always do. But
like I'm concerned of like whether or not, because Hurts, if you look at last year's numbers, he was able to, like on a low completion percentage, was able to hit some big explosive plays. Like, how is he going to be able to handle a Buck secondary, let's say, in the playoffs? How is he going to be able to handle Green Bay's secondary in the playoffs? Because, yes, I was surprised. So, Hurts had 27 pass attempts in the first half yesterday.
It's insane.
But then they just took over to like a really run-heavy game script just because they were way up by 10. They're still only passing the ball on 50.5% of their plays. I did not think
Which
that
is
was the
great,
case.
though.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's perfect.
they had like 325 yards passing through 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even in the game yesterday for him, he only rushed for 20 yards. Hurts. Like he wasn't a heavy rushing game. He was playing drop back game. Yeah, he did not have to. But my thing with them is I'm high on the Eagles. I think
their roster is so complete.
It's so it looks good. This timing with the receivers Hurts
their
has.
O-line is incredible too.
Yeah, no, it's good. But I just the Washington Commanders, the Vikings, and the Lions, I wouldn't say those are top.
All three of those secondaries are dog shit.
So I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. I'm high on the Eagles. I'm very high on them, but I'm not ready to say they're a top 2 team or top 3 team.
But looking who they have next. So they have the Jaguars. The secondary is pretty cheeks. Cardinals secondary has been very gettable.
Yep.
Cowboys, if it's similar to last year, it's fraudulent, and I think it still is, to be honest. Especially if Cooper Rush is still playing, there's going to be a lot of that defense is going to be on the field a lot.
Another fucking primetime.
And then the Steelers.
Oh my God. The Steelers secondary, well, actually fucking Jacoby Brissett made their secondary look like a fucking CFL secondary yesterday. And then
on Thursday. Holy crap, you're going through the schedule and I don't know when they're going to lose.
And then Texans, then Washington again, the Colts, then they play Green Bay week 12 maybe.
That's going to be an electric game.
That's at home.
Titans secondary's been good.
Titans, Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints, like
holy crap. They might just go undefeated. I know that.
They could very well have 1 or 2 losses heading into the playoffs. They're probably going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC East.
That's
NFC unless they totally fucking blow it.
We say this, but then we run into a game where you see the Eagles are on the road against someone like are they on the road at the Cardinals or are they at home?
Yeah, no, they're on.
And they just get fucking
like that's where you're like, oh, they're on the road.
But what about even this week against?
I like the Jaguars to win. I like the Jaguars outright. I'm just going to say it so when we can come back next week and sit here and do the same thing, I like the Jaguars to win outright.
Right. Yeah, that'd be 2 hot teams. That's for sure.
I don't know. They're both hot. I'd probably stay away from that game.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe combustion of the 2 offenses equals an under.
One could argue.
Total?
48.5.
Interesting. Again, you can't look at these lines. We got lines at lunch.
Yeah,
I know.
We got
a Twitch stream.
Well, no, I thought I'm in charge of the sharp report.
You want to be? Okay, true. Okay,
yeah,
let's go to Colts Chiefs. I do have we'll get into. I want to really get into the Chiefs side of things. I think it's very, very, very interesting. But let's start with the Colts. This game, this sport. Like, if you don't think if you think the NFL's rigged, this is your poster child. Like, I mean, special teams disaster from the Chiefs. Sky Moore fumble. How many kicks did they miss? At least 2. With Amendola, I know they didn't have Butker, so like that plays a part in it. This is a team that doesn't miss kicks. If we're talking about the Chiefs, and then we had, before I get to the Colts side of things, that Kelsey touch or 2-point conversion just was not. Like, I did not think it was a conversion.
I agree. That's why I kind of was like, I was thinking, oh my God, the Colts are getting every call in like towards them. But then that happened. I was like, okay, wait a second. Maybe this game isn't as rigged as I thought. And then Matt Amendola missed like a 28-yard field goal, and they did the fake field goal.
That shit was fucking horrible.
That was worse than
That was
worse than DJ Dallas throwing it to the fucking corner last week.
Well, the worst part of that whole play is they got an illegal man downfield. So even if they did convert it, it was coming back as a penalty.
It wasn't even close.
It was just like
So
they had one guy running around.
Yeah,
like come on.
It's like that game like that play in Madden. You guys, if you play Madden, they have like that little one guy running around. And
but it's supposed to be a 5-yard out, and one guy runs a post, and also a post to the sideline, and there was no guy running the post.
No, when it happened, I was like, I thought he had to have fumbled the snap.
Yeah,
and everything from it made it seem like it was what they drew up. Which, like, to me, if you're the Chiefs, there's no need to run bullshit. It's like you have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Why do we need to run any trickery here?
Yeah. Did you realize the dome was open? The skylight was open?
Oh, is that playing a factor in?
So I don't know. You tell me. Sky Moore fumbled the kick or fumbled the punt. And then honestly, I did realize this in like the third or fourth quarter. Did you see how like the sun was like shining through?
No, I didn't.
It was, and there was a play where like there was a ball thrown right into the sun, and the receiver totally missed it because he couldn't see it.
Oh, I didn't see that at all.
Inside job.
Jim Irsay knew exactly what he was doing.
I think the Colts suck. I think the Colts suck so bad.
Yeah, they shouldn't have won that game.
This entire
the Chiefs
division
had like 20 chances to win that game.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan looks like Drew Brees looked when Drew Brees was over his arm couldn't.
You think so?
Rotate. Yeah, he can't. I saw him maybe throw like 3 or 4 passes of 10+ yards. Everything. It's like 3rd and 6, he throws it 2 yards. It's 3rd and 7, he throws it 4 yards. Nothing past the line past the sticks. It was incredibly frustrating, and they somehow willed the ball down the field in like slow motion to win the game too.
Watching Matt Ryan play quarterback is like honestly hard on the eyes. It's like some shit. You know when he's getting blitzed around the edge, like it's either gonna be a strip sack or
so
some
slow.
shit.
Yeah.
Sick, and he tries to get out of the pocket and he's immediately sacked.
No.
He got sacked 5 times yesterday, 1 fumble loss. Didn't throw any picks though.
Yeah,
Didn't
I know.
throw a ton of yards.
That's what I mean though.
Yeah.
He was
Just
checking it down.
Yeah.
So
Everyone's too scared to throw picks these days.
yeah, it seems like it.
So
Some of
was
these
it
veterans.
extremely frustrating to watch it because you had the over?
Yeah, part of it was definitely I had the over.
And watching Matty fucking take 5 seconds to do a 2-step drop is just probably the most
it drove me
agonizing thing
nuts.
ever.
It drove me nuts. And we had the Sky, because you know what kept me in? What kept me in it was the Sky Moore dropping the punt to start the game, and I'm like, free 7 points. We're on pace, and then nothing else happened the rest of the game.
Should have just rode the Colts, the boys.
I did.
Oh, you had the Colts
Yeah,
too.
I got the Colts too. Okay, Chiefs side of things. Their offense was, I don't know. I don't have a lot of takeaways of saying that it was terrible yesterday. But one thing that was really interesting was the Eric Bieniemy Patrick Mahomes conversation at halftime. I was shocked when you have a guy like this that I know it was like 2nd and 20 that you're just letting the clock run. You're running. They ran it on 2nd down with McKinnon and then just let the clock run out and just accepted the fact that the half was over. When we saw it at the end of the game. One play, got 30+ yards, and they're almost in field goal territory. I don't know how you just decide to go to half in a game that's as tightly contested as that game was. So I want to talk about the Bieniemy Mahomes relationship, right? That was the big talking point at the end of last year after they lost to the Bengals because of that halftime debauchery where they ran out all the clock and didn't walk away with any points when they had the ball at like the Bengals 15 or whatever with like 15 seconds left. So then it went into the offseason, and there was that Arrowhead Pride that wrote that article about how Bieniemy just isn't a very, very, very what's the word, like
Players coach.
Motivator.
He's not a great players coach. Like he's a guy that is stuck in his ways. They're not liking his offensive play calling, and he just doesn't have any good relationship with the players. And there was LaShawn McCoy, because he left, or he played with the Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl and then went to the Bucs the next year. And he had comments about how nobody likes the guy. He's a terrible play caller. He just seems to hate everyone, doesn't have a good relationship with anybody. And then he said it again after the game. There was a
Some
BR
podcast.
Gridiron Instagram post, and he basically reiterated the same thing. I think the Bieniemy situation is very interesting because obviously he was a free agent offensive coordinator, and then they had to re-sign him. And he's never he's been passed over for all these head coaching positions.
Yeah.
There has to be something here with this guy and what players are willing to say about him.
I think Eric Bieniemy's time is starting. His clock is starting to run out here. Like he's run out of time for one. I don't think he's going to be a head coach anymore, ever.
No.
Like, why hasn't he been a head coach? There's been so many open positions. He's been a final candidate for so many and then never picked. And then yesterday, I think he tried to assert his dominance over Patrick Mahomes. Like, no,
we're
Patrick,
fine.
no,
We're
not.
We're fine.
No more touchdowns this half. Let's wait till next half. They were getting the ball back. Oh no,
Yeah,
they were getting the ball back. But no, let's wait. No touchdowns. We don't want Matt Ryan to get too embarrassed today. And then the final ensued, and he was wrong. And now, who do you think the fans are going to sign with? Yeah. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes here. He's like public enemy number one, I would think, in this fan base.
It's a situation for the Chiefs where they don't want to. It would be very weird and would stir up a lot of media controversy of they just let go of their offensive coordinator and they've got one of the most successful offenses in the NFL. And that would be like Bieniemy is obviously, they brought back Matt Nagy, so Reed seems to have put a lot of value in continuity and guys that he's familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't overthink too much about the coach, like them yelling at each other. I know
Matt Nagy's probably the reason why.
That's why I pulled it up.
Matt Nagy's probably the reason why there's so much tension in this room now.
Matt Nagy's, I can't. That guy belongs nowhere in a locker room or any kind of coaching room. But I mean, I don't overthink the argument too much. I think there's arguments for both sides. Patrick Mahomes is obviously going to want to fucking go get points.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect? That guy can fucking launch a ball 50 yards and you could be in
backwards.
Right.
Yeah. He could snap a ball.
That's the frustrating
yards.
part. Looking back on it, it's easy to say now. Obviously, they didn't win the game. That is a key piece that's going to be talked about. And, I think Bieniemy's fine. But it seems like the players aren't huge fans. Maybe that's just one guy.
Yeah, that was Shady.
Is it just Shady?
But
he's not on
anymore.
Yeah, and he's not playing NFL anymore. But there's
your
a reason
breaks
for sure.
up with you, and then you tell her, like, she sucks now,
Just read what he said.
Is that what you do?
Read what his reply said.
Do you break up with girls and then tell them that they suck?
Bieniemy or Shady McCoy said, all Bieniemy does is argue with the players, knows nothing about passing or play calling. That's what he said on Instagram.
And the thing is that it was a little bit too animated for this to just be like two guys. Obviously, all it was the two of them arguing about whether or not they should have, it's not that big of a deal. I just thought it was a very animated argument that obviously people are they got to know people are seeing that on TV.
Yeah.
And Mahomes takes his helmet off. Like taking if you have any respect, if you're Mahomes, you're not taking your helmet off to have this conversation and have your face be seen in terms of how you what your emotions like.
Industry plan, maybe.
Yeah, industry plan.
Maybe. I think it's even funnier that the fact that you brought up Matt Nagy, the fact that he's in this. If this offense, I don't think it will. If it goes to shit,
Matt Nagy.
And Matt Nagy's
he's the quarterback.
He's the root of all evil. This guy, I swear to fuck, it's just happening.
Okay, let's go to the Packers-Bucks game.
Okay.
Not a lot to get into in terms of offensively. I think this wasn't surprising to the three of us. We talked about this.
Romeo.
I feel like the sharpest guy on the block this morning about that Romeo take. But yeah, it was great for me. The first half, the second half, the Packers just came out and laid an absolute egg.
These defenses are both
good though. But it's hard to go in there. It's 90 plus degrees Fahrenheit. I know you guys don't know what that means, but it's hot.
We know what that means, dude. You're the only one who doesn't know how to do the
you probably know a little more.
Translate.
Anyways, they played well the first half. I liked how the offense was moving. Romeo Doubs just was involved from the beginning. He had 8 targets, 8 receptions. So every time he got targeted, he had a catch. A touchdown, which was great. I told him this morning, it gives me shades of early Devontae Adams. It's such a hot take, but the way he runs routes, that underneath slant, that was Devontae's bag on the goal line.
He made some nice grabs for sure. But we're talking in terms of fantasy football, it's not good to get targeted 8 times, have 8 catches. 100% catch rate isn't sustainable. We've seen that, Tyler. We've seen it. So
I mean, for me, but from him coming from not doing with 3 catches for 20 yards to this, it's nice to see him be the core focus.
Christian Watson had a good game too.
He didn't play.
Yeah, on the bench. Well, he had a great game.
Well, he was hurt.
He was hurt. Go.
Yeah.
Well, Watkins, do you want to lose your fucking spot in the NFL? Because it's looking like it.
I said this though in week 1. It's Sammy Watkins is going to be more of a problem than a benefit for the Packers because one of these receivers, either Watson or Dobbs, is going to have to step up and be that guy. Watkins going to be injured at some point in key games. We have a stretch now where we go have some pretty easy games the next 3 games. They got to go and get these guys involved and get them comfortable in the offense. They'll figure it out. And then at the end of the year, when we're in those crunch time situations, there's got to be a guy. One of those guys has to be that guy.
LaFleur said well before this game that he was going to be a focal point just with the way they're banged up.
So. LaFleur always, by the way, he promised Aaron Jones too that game.
Trust the man.
LaFleur delivers, bro.
Yeah, good fumble on the one, you idiot, Aaron.
Yeah.
Looking at the Packers schedule, Patriots next, Giants, Jets, Commanders are the next 4 games.
And Patriots are home and Mac Jones with the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, so maybe we'll see fucking Brian Hoyer or Bailey Zappi.
Oh.
Interesting.
Good question. If Brian Hoyer.
No, I think it is. I think on the depth chart right now, I think it's Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, but that could change.
That'll be unwatchable. Oh, but I wanted to bring up the Rodgers said he saw something on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
So I read. We heard
it this morning, but they were saying that it was something about the offensive play calling that he saw that he then told the defensive. But we
Yes.
don't know what it was.
So I heard that the Jumbotron might have shown Brady and
Bowles?
not Bowles. Bowles is the
Leftwich?
Yeah,
Bowles
Leftwich.
is the head coach now, though.
Yeah, Leftwich looking at a play call.
Ah.
Now, there's probably a ton of other like what could be some other things, Sandy. There's like
Well, no.
you could see a tell from in terms of like run or pass. But
Yeah,
that
like,
late
well,
in the game, that
they show like
really
70% of the time they're going for 2 points. They run they do a pass or a run or something like that. Like it was some nugget like that about like the play calling.
Yeah.
and what the
Right.
Bucks do. I think.
I think it's Aaron Rodgers is being a selfish prick and just wants all the credit for winning yet again.
You think he just made it up to stir
Yeah,
controversy?
I
Just to get some poor
I
guy
run the
fired.
Brady
defense
off?
and the offense. I control everything. I control Brady's mind now that I hallucinate all the time.
Yeah, that
the
that is
funniest-
on the table. I think that's on the table.
The funniest part of that game, there was a meme out, and maybe we can even show it on here, but loser of Rodgers Brady has to call their family.
yeah.
My favorite, bro. I love those.
But Brady's not as far. Well, maybe
No,
like
but
his own
his
home
wife-
situation
No,
right
he
now.
has just
But he has a
Steven
good
Giselle.
relationship with like his mom and
Oh,
dad.
yeah,
Aaron
yeah.
Rodgers like actually fucking hates
Aaron
his
Rodgers
brother.
does not. Hasn't seen his family in a half a
And yeah,
decade.
I think it's long lost Benjamin.
I think
Button
there was
time at this
another one
point.
where they were meeting at the end of the game, and it said
I found it. I think I have it somewhere on here.
something like where Brady says, "My wife hates me," and he goes, "It's okay, man. I hate my mom."
Yeah. Okay. Or another theory I have about this whole scoreboard. I think maybe at the time Aaron Rodgers was actually hallucinating, and then was like just said something to DC, and then
early celebration.
yeah,
You know,
something.
to dive deeper there, I think at halftime they had a sizable lead. He's like, I can take some goomies right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
I think I can afford
he
it. And
re-upped
then they
his
just
dose.
didn't try the second half. They
I
just,
think
he
yeah.
just was zooted out on the second half, and then at the end of the game, he just must have hallucinated.
He's like, I've done my part, Aaron. You fucked up on the last goal. We were supposed to be up 3 scores, and then you fumbled it. I'm done. Defense is up to you. And then he felt bad as the game progresses. Oh, I know what the play call is, DC. And then all credit goes to the hero who threw for what, 200 yards again? Probably
no
under
credit.
300.
It is convenient that he's trying to take credit away from a defense that gave up only
250, yeah,
12
he had a
points
pick.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Why don't we get to? I'm thinking a lot of people are like, how have these guys not talked about this game yet? I mean, NFL player safety is just not.
It's not a thing anymore.
We were dying in the car. Like, bro, that motherfucker saw stars when he whiplashed there. Like, how in the right
I mean,
mind?
there's a difference between like the claim was his back hurt. There's a difference between concussion and literally jelly legs. You can't walk. Like if that. Everybody, like, I don't know how the process goes, but there has to be somebody calling in because they call in concussions. So they literally are watching.
Yeah.
So you know that they saw the full footage of this guy barely be able to stand on 2 feet. I don't know how they take that visual. And regardless of whether or not this back claim is true, they trot the guy back out there. Like
They
there's
lost-
just no scenario.
They had far. How many snaps did Teddy Bridgewater take? Mike
I don't know.
McDaniel was
I'm not sure.
They went
puking
into
at
halftime,
was
right?
puking at
Yeah, that's
halftime,
true.
saying, "Oh, I can't let this go on any longer." Tua, let's go. I don't know what to do. A little pat on the head, something.
No,
and then,
you know
best-
what? A little bit not the Rodgers situation, but this was like a he was knocked out, and Mike McDaniel convinced Tua that God told him he had to come back out there.
that's also a good selling point. Good selling point.
He's very much a man of his faith.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. I think the NFL launched the investigation too, like right as the
Oh,
game was
the game was
concluding.
over yet. Was it over yet?
PR team was all over that,
Yeah.
bro. They're like, we gotta launch this.
Should
Yeah, I would love to. Like, when do you think there's gonna be a verdict? Because if so, they have a good.
and it begs the
big
question:
week. Yeah, the
should
Bengals.
the Dolphins be stripped of a win?
You know what? That is a good question because
he
again,
kind of balled out when he came back, though, a little bit.
He had no idea what was
He had
going
no
on.
idea
He
what
was
he
just
was
like,
doing,
they're just
yeah.
like, throw it to Jalen Waddle.
I think
He'll be
his
fine.
first
He was open.
I think his first pass back should have been an interception.
Oh, really? Oh, what was the one he threw in
The
right over
deep
the
pass,
middle?
yeah,
Like, it was,
that's
to
what I was
Tyreek,
talking
and I
about.
over
Yeah.
24 and a half longest reception for Tyreek, and that one was 23 yards. I was so
it's the
pissed.
worst.
Maybe it wasn't the first pass. Maybe it was. I just remember somebody said he's back in. I think when I was watching Red Zone, because the other game I had on I had the Colts Chiefs game on. That's what I watched completely of, and I'm pretty sure they were like, they were saying that he was always back in the game, and then immediately almost threw it to the other team.
Yeah.
A few other things in the game. I mean,
Yes.
it didn't make any sense. The Bills had 500 yards of offense, and the Dolphins had 200. I didn't watch enough of this game. I just had it in red zone when I watched it, so I don't have enough to tell you how the fuck this happened.
Tyler Bass missed a short kick.
Yeah.
From what I remember, pretty sure.
There was 3 fumbles from Josh Allen. One of them was turned over.
Yeah, one of them was turned. It was the play at the end of the half too. They went to go spike it, and he fumbled the snap, so he just threw it over to Stephon Diggs, and then he ran out of bounds, and there was no time left, so they didn't kick a field goal there.
Okay.
So there were just a lot of incomplete drives. I think you can kind of chalk that up to.
Yeah,
the Dolphins' defense is not good. Bills' defense actually didn't look too bad considering how many guys were out in their secondary. Like, they were pulling guys up from the practice squad, I think, to start in their secondary this week, and I think it goes to speak how deep this team is at this point.
Yeah,
like
they're
their corner, their corners still look pretty solid. Like
it literally looked like those guys were dying on the field. They were so tired. Like they would show them, and then
that was on
Gabe Davis. Like there was a shot of Gabe Davis, and he was just like the full bend, bro. It was like
did you see the part where the Bills didn't even have to use a timeout, and it was literally just an offensive lineman who was just tired. He's on a knee.
Yeah,
he's just exhausted.
It's fucking sweaty out there.
No,
bro.
that's such an advantage. It's such an advantage playing in Miami at like early for the Dolphins. Like if they have a lot of home games in early September, you got to bet on the Dolphins.
But just wait for this candy ass team in their uniforms having to go to New England or Buffalo.
No, 100%. 100%. As soon as
you'd rather have it be in the later
even like Cincinnati, like Ohio, probably won't be very warm on Thursday night. I would think so.
There you go.
I like the Bengals in that one, to be honest. I think there's through what happened,
to a cold game.
It's not going to be that cold though.
But I like what I also like, and we'll probably talk about this later. Well, we'll talk about this later on in the week, I'm sure, on the Twitch streams. But I like the fact that we saw the Bengals in that too high being able to really limit explosive plays from everyone they played, and that's what the Dolphins have been able to do. Like even the big play from Waddle, that was a play that probably won them the game. We obviously saw the week before against the Ravens. They're no longer intimidating whatsoever defensively, it seems like. Because even Mac Jones threw all over them. So if they can't hit those explosive plays, I would definitely like the Bengals. Because again, the Dolphins' offense looks terrible. You know what? I'm convincing myself right now. We're talking about getting on a sharp line.
I know we kind of missed it though. Yeah. Bengals were -1.5.
The Packers were 6.5 yesterday,
last night,
and they're 9 and 10 now.
Wait a second.
The Bengals were -1.5 yesterday. Now they're 3. We missed out. I looked at it and I was like, and then I didn't pull the trigger. I should have. I know, it's very frustrating.
The sharp report.
Damn it!
We hit the sharp report Monday afternoons, but the lines have been jumping.
No,
bro.
and they're tight this week. They're tight this week.
See, the funny thing is, they're tight. San Fran +3 with Pitt.
Yeah,
obviously. Yes. Now they went to -1. Like that's that shit, bro. That's early line look ahead shit is good.
Okay, before we do, do you want anything? You know, the Ken Dorsey thing was just awesome. I just had to bring that
so
up.
awesome.
Oh yeah,
that's a football guy, bro. That
like,
guy's a fucking football guy.
Do you think like the other guys in the room after like, whoa, calm the fuck down, like, but that was like maybe a little bit of an overreaction. CBS just wanted all of it on their feed.
No one's telling.
Good for
and
you.
then he covered the camera.
Good for you.
You see that?
Yeah,
that was my favorite because you know he kept fucking punching.
That room looked like, you know when you're like really frustrated but you don't want to break like too much shit, and it must have been really cluttered in there because he was like moving his arms around like this and like things like weren't going in full array. Well, but he was pissed, like obviously. But
he had the moment where it was the headphones right to start.
He launched
and he
those.
probably realized like, whoa, that's something expensive. And then he just went solely after the papers and the binders. And the books.
Do you think
those are breakable things?
Do you think Isaiah McKenzie gets a silent treatment until next Sunday?
Well, he was trying to get out of bounds.
He didn't look like he tried very hard. Much, he cut in right at the end where he could have gone straight out of bounds. He did for sure.
True.
Yeah, but
true.
you are right.
Or he should have just gone down right away. Like,
he
so
could have gone down right away. Yes. The thing was that I
maybe even Josh Allen should have thrown it away, but I don't know.
They weren't quite in field goal range. Well, I guess
kind of.
Where were they? They were in Miami. I don't know. That was a tough look for Isaiah McKenzie. Yeah. You know, tougher look for Gabe Davis. No showing yesterday though.
He had a couple catches, but he wasn't great. Yeah, thanks for letting me or for making me start him, and I still beat you. So. Maybe not. CeeDee Lamb could go off. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb could go off.
Scores 40 points today. Okay, 2 more things. We'll eventually get to the Chargers and my excuses. Kyler Murray, ultimate teammate. I did want to bring this up. Let me pull up the old tweet. It was a great tweet from a comment that he had post-game. The Bengals, or the Cardinals, by the way, Sandy, have not scored a single point in the first quarter.
It's absolutely horrible. I did see this quote too, by the way.
Yeah, so Kyler said post-game, and I can't blame him for being a little bit upset. This is a bit much. He says, I told guys you have to be awake when you play with me. No matter what the play is, I have free reign to do whatever. So when you sleep and you don't think you're getting the ball, you can't play like that. Because there were a plethora of drops from the Cardinals on Sunday. There were a lot from their backs. James Conner had a tough one too. But I think this is also, if you're reading between the lines of this, I think I know exactly why the Cardinals might be the worst team in the NFL in the first half of football games, is because of what Kyler just said. He said, I have free reign to do whatever I want. And that free reign to do whatever he want comes in the second half because Kliff Kingsbury is like, bro, let me script up this incredible game plan.
Yeah,
and then it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then the second half, it's Kyler Murray.
So
make it happen, bro.
So
who cares?
Is he even talking about his receivers? Maybe he's talking about Kliff Kingsbury. Like, just wake up and let me fucking run this offense from the get-go.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
maybe
it sounds like he runs the way he said that. Like that's a wild thing to say.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
that's a big me, small team guy. No.
100%.
Kliff Kingsbury
because
is
he
walking
said, when
into
you
the
play with me, like that's you
The
shouldn't
one
be
thing
saying it like that.
the biggest golden rule of a quarterback is never blame the receivers. He did that, and then he said, "I run the show here." Those are
free reign.
that is QB hell. Like you should be banished for that.
He could be taking the
He's losing his
contract.
teammates. I bet he's losing his teammates.
Kliff
in the locker
Kingsbury
room.
is going to be walking into that looking for Kyler's pocket because Kyler owns him now. Kyler is the Arizona Cardinals head coach and starting quarterback now.
yeah.
He could be GM soon.
Remember when he
we
was
could
calling
we could
plays?
see a
Jackie
Bill
Moon.
O'Brien version. Jackie Moon, even
you go.
better.
Yeah.
He could be the
Owner,
Flint
player,
Tropic
coach.
owner, player, coach, Kyler Murray. I think that's a narrative that we need to start.
I think you're right, because I think that this entire situation, we saw when the Cardinals were in the preseason when he was calling plays, when they let Kyler Murray call plays.
That was all over my dick. They made a big deal
He's
of that.
literally took the contract negotiations where they told him he had to do homework outside of team activities during the day, and he's taking it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
He's all about figuring it out on his own.
He's one of his phase members is going to be running routes next week. That's what I heard.
That would be awesome.
Him instead of AJ Green. AJ Green needs to hang him up. Hang him up, man. He's
we'll
done.
see.
He gets hurt way too often now. He's still too brittle. He always has been.
Sign
Hang
the
him
one
up,
day.
buddy.
Sign
Yeah,
the one day
with the Bengals. And
yeah, call it.
Whoa.
He's
How would you just do that?
He's had a lot of lower body injuries. I've seen it on his feet, his fucking hamstrings. He's very skinny. He gets hit. It happened last game. He got hit. Fucking blue tent. See ya, AJ. Done. Watch. He's not gonna play for 2 weeks.
The second he goes in the
That
blue
could
tent,
happen.
you know
It's
you're
late
bad.
in his career.
It's late in his career. Hey, there's no shame in hanging them up, brother.
You think he
You're
lost
one of my
his-
favorite players ever.
You think he lost his fastball completely?
Yeah.
Well,
He
yeah.
doesn't throw it faster than fuck
He
anymore.
only
that's
has.
for sure.
He definitely. He's like a Bartolo Colon type guy, just like working with what I've got. Marco Estrada. Marco Estrada.
Estrada.
That's
There
a
it is.
soft throwing guy that made it happen. All right, go ahead, fellas. Hit me with.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say yes to the question.
I honestly did
So
not.
I wrote-
I refused it. The second I saw this game, I didn't watch any of this game other
I
than
watched
Red
it.
Zone. Other than Red
I
Zone.
had to watch it.
Can I say my one stat? Interesting
Yeah,
stat.
go ahead.
For it.
Go ahead, friend.
So Trevor Lawrence, right? Trevor Lawrence has started his career with 9 straight road losses until this game. You know who else started their career with 9 straight road losses?
I saw the stat, so you're gonna have to ask Sandy.
No, he knows it too.
I know it too.
Oh, Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, 9
Won his
straight.
10th won his
10th road game against the Chargers. So did Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, book it now. Hall of Fame
Famer.
career.
I think I
It's a
we were
great-
on the. I was on this
perfect.
train all off season with Christian
true.
Kirk.
You did.
and I said the
Christian
Jags.
Kirk still looks very good, I have to say.
I said the Jags were going to have a bounce back year. The addition of Trayvon Walker and Devin Lloyd, I think, have helped them plenty. They just need to get themselves like a Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley Jr. type corner, and they will be much improved because that Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker front four looks nasty. They pressured Herbert on over 40% of his dropbacks. So here, let's get into the excuse-a-thon, all right? So there were 8 players in the Chargers that were ranked in the NFL top 100. 6 of them were unavailable by the end of the game. There was no Rashawn Slater, no Corey Linsley. That is massive. Like losing your center and a center that's one of the best in the NFL. Sandy knows it, and Corey Linsley is killer, right?
Yeah, really good.
And then Slater is a really good left tackle. So then they're throwing Storm Norton out there, and that guy is like, I wish that guy would just wear a clown mask instead of a helmet when he played left tackle because he stinks. They also were missing J.C. Jackson, obviously. Justin Herbert's banged up. And then missing Keenan Allen is so bad for a team that is just missing a guy that can get open quickly. Like Mike Williams is not a wide receiver 1. He's a great wide receiver 2 because he's a great big play threat, a great guy in contested catch situations. Keenan is an elite route runner who can get open immediately. So missing him was also terrible. Joey Bosa was out within the first quarter. The Chargers aren't going to win football games if they're missing a bunch of these top-tier options.
Yeah. They're always injured.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Like maybe there's a telltale sign when your personal trainer, athletic trainer, like tried to kill Tyrod Taylor that one time.
I mean, yeah.
He hopefully doesn't work for the team anymore, right?
I don't think he does.
He's being sued.
Yeah. Sorry.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Tried to end Tyrod Taylor's career like every other NFL franchise.
It's frustrating. Watching Brandon Staley, it's kind of frustrating. I kind of feel like he kind of lost his mojo. He had like that. He had like
100%.
that big dick like energy last year.
He's trusting the defense because he thinks he's built like what the additions they made have filled in all the gaps, and the defense is great. So now they don't have to go for it in these fourth and short situations because he can trust his defense. Also, maybe one of the most colossally dumb coaching moves to be down by 28 points and trotting out your quarterback who's a shell of himself because of broken rib cartilage. And you're like, yeah, he just wanted to finish the game with his guys. Well, even if he did say that, you're the fucking head coach. You should have the overruling of being like, hey man, you probably shouldn't play. We're getting our shit kicked in. There's no chance we win. There's no reason that you should be out there playing right now. You're not going to make a difference in this game. You should be on the bench. You should not be playing. With an injury like this, we can't be risking it.
If he gets hurt, like the season's just over.
Yep.
Like it's just
100%.
It's just like that one play. So.
And sure, Herbert's going to be having to play through this injury for a little while. Like it's not like next week he's going to be feeling 100%. He's probably not going to feel 100% till hopefully midway through the year. Honestly, like this is an injury that's just going to linger because he's going to be playing through it. But yeah, that is my Chargers excuse machine report.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, Brandon Staley is a fucking moron right now. In my mind,
I
he's
had
under
him
that
coach of the year.
category.
I was high on him last year.
Him, Joe Judge, and Matt Nagy can fit under the same umbrella at this point.
That's crazy talk. Yeah.
That's
okay, fine. Are we happy
one tier
or
above.
less happy with Anthony Lynn? Who would you rather have at this
I'm
point?
more happy. I'm more happy. There was other things. Lynn loved to run the ball and
He's a
was
special
terrible
teams
with the
coach.
clock.
Special teams coach.
He's on the Bucks. He's on the Bucks now. I saw him last night.
He's a special teams
yesterday.
coach. Though.
Or no, sorry, on the
Shouldn't-
Bucks, the 49ers.
Shouldn't be running an NFL offense.
Okay, closing out the show. We got two things we're going to cover. We're going to do one team that's playing well that we think is a fraud, and then one team that hasn't been playing well that we think is better than their record. Why don't we start with our fraud?
You want me to go first? All right, I got the Bears. We talked about them.
The Bears aren't even good.
I mean, but they have a 2-1 record.
Yes.
You said based on record, technically.
that's
This
fair.
is this is actually layup lines, but
Yeah.
50. They're averaging 15 passing attempts per game. You're not winning football in 2022 playing like that. They had
We're rolling the clock.
They're doing
back
football.
over
They're
5
doing
years.
football the wrong way.
They're correct, right? And they're trying to do football like it's 1950, not like it's 2022. So, and they don't they've had some easy matchups week 1 through 3. So I think that will obviously get more difficult. But they're my fraud, easy, hands down.
I'm going to go with the Bucks. I know they'll get healthier at the wide receiver spots, and I know their defense is really good. So I don't think they're frauds in that they're they're not going to make the playoffs. I think that they're not I don't think they're an elite team in the NFC. A lot of that comes down to in my mind, the offensive line. And if Brady's under pressure, if Brady is under pressure, we've seen it in the last few years that he is not able to be efficient. The offense is not going to be as good. So my thought is that I think they're outside, the top 3, and I'd be looking at. I'm going to keep an eye on their team total and look to bet it under if I can get it at like 11 and a half, let's say.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's a pretty obvious choice at this point, in my opinion. The Denver Broncos are 2-1 still, but they shouldn't be. They honestly probably should be 3-0 if you think about it, but they've played horrible teams. And yes, their defenses look good. Their pass rushes look good. Secondaries look pretty good, but they've played against Geno Smith, Davis Mills, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So
True.
I will take that with as many grains of salt as possible. This offense doesn't have a lot of flavor. Nathaniel Hackett, like I've mentioned both times on this podcast, he was led by Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers next to him anymore, cuddling him, tucking him in at night. He has
sharing hallucinogenics with him.
Exactly. Now he has to go with Russell Wilson when Nate Hackett's probably like, oh, let's go for a beer. He's like, oh, come on, let's go have protein shakes instead. Russell Wilson does not seem like a guy who drinks beers ever.
Here's the reason
doesn't, no
why
way.
Aaron Rodgers said he loves Nathaniel Hackett. It's because Nathaniel Hackett wants to do as little football things as possible when it's not Sunday. Like Nathaniel Hackett was probably like, dude, we don't need to talk football, brother.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you were up to this summer. Let's talk about how your off nights have been, brother.
Yeah.
Because the guy just doesn't know how to call plays, coach football.
There's that problem. They have the contrasting opinions of beers and protein shakes. That's never a good combo. You want your quarterback and head coach to always be on the same page when in terms of beverages consuming after hours. And then they haven't played a single team in their division yet. And this division is good. They will this week. Yeah, they will this week. They play the Raiders. I'll be honest. I kind of like the Raiders. They yet to have a win.
This could
be their game where they come and win. And against this Broncos team, who's moving their offense at a slower pace than I've ever seen an NFL offense with Russell Wilson been led. So, I'm out on the Broncos. I was kind of in on them, but I'm out on them.
A defense this good, I think, can always surprise people. That'd be one thing I would say. But I don't have a lot of faith in the way the offense is operating. But you mentioned the Raiders. I originally had the Raiders in there as a team better than the record. My biggest problem is that they just have their offensive line is cat shit.
And Derek Carr fucking blows too.
I don't think Derek Carr blows.
He just throws passes. You're just like, why are you throwing that pass right? Like if you put, the perfect quarterback in terms of risk reward would be if you put Derek Carr and Russell Wilson together, and they would be very balanced. Because Russell Wilson takes no chances. Derek Carr is slinging the rock.
He's
like
trying
it's
to
fucking backyard football.
He's trying to throw it into tight windows for sure.
Yeah. You can live with that. I can live with that. My thing would just be the Raiders. I think Josh McDaniels is. It seems like people are ready to come after him. He had like a closed door meeting with Al Davis for a while before he met with the media, and Al Davis is obviously coming off a huge championship with the Aces. So he's
Mike Davis.
Sorry, I said Al Davis.
Isn't Al Davis dead?
Yeah, Al Davis is dead.
Mike Davis, maybe? Al Davis is definitely 6 feet under.
Owner?
Yeah. Wait, am I wrong?
Dude, Al Davis is R.I.P., bro.
It's not Mike Davis.
The son.
It's definitely you're right. Al Davis is the dead one.
It's not.
Mark Davis.
Mark.
That's it.
What did we say?
Davis.
Mike Davis is a running back. Mike Davis is a running back for the Ravens.
But he had a closed door meeting with Mark Davis. Davis coming off the high of winning a WNBA championship. So that's, he doesn't want to see it losing. He's not used to losing franchises. But I can't see, I know McDaniel's always struggled as a head coach, or that's very notable on McDaniel from his previous stops. But I do think he's still a good coach. I still think the offense has had these periods where they're just completely dead, but they're also just had these periods where they're just moving the ball with ease. So I think they'll be better, but I don't know. What do you guys think about the Raiders?
They're better than 0-3.
Yeah, I think they're better than 0-3 as well. It goes back their defense again. The Titans were able to move the ball down the field pretty easily yesterday against them.
Yeah, their first 3 drives touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So
and they've been terrible.
Yeah,
Derrick Henry looked like he was back too a bit.
Their secondary is this poverty, and I think it really won't change much this year. And like I said, everyone thought they had a chance of winning this division, and with the elite quarterbacks that were in this AFC West, it was supposed to look like that way. But with how bad Russell Wilson is playing, like I just said, I actually kind of like the Raiders this week against the Broncos. Their pass rush is good. If Crosby and Chandler Jones, I think, is there, right?
Yeah, Chandler Jones was terrible yesterday.
If they're getting pressure on Russ and he can't get the ball downfield, I think they can win, because I think their offense is probably the best offense they've seen. Yeah. Surtan's going to be surprised going up against Devontae Adams instead of...
Surtan had 6 targets, 0 catches, or allowed 0 yards yesterday. From Next Gen, he was really good yesterday.
That's why I was worried about Ayuk. I think the first couple series, Surtan wasn't on him, but then after, I think he was, because Ayuk ended up not even going over his yards.
Yeah,
after having a great start.
Who do you have as one team to be better than their record?
I got the Atlanta Falcons here.
Oh my God!
I got the Atlanta Falcons here. I think they're an exciting offense, and I think they have potential. Mariota has made that offense look pretty good. When I'm watching the games, I watched a decent amount of their games. I've bet on them 2 of the 3 weeks. the one issue for me is the turnovers. He has 3 fumbles this year, fumbles lost, and then 3 interceptions. So that we're seeing a lot of the turnovers there. They did beat the Seahawks yesterday. It's a road win, tough place to play. I thought Mariota did pretty well yesterday. And the division, like you talked about the Bucs being a bit overrated. The Panthers and the Saints. Like I know you have someone as the Saints on here. I'm not sold on the Saints. I'm definitely not sold on the Panthers. So I think there's an opportunity for the Falcons to sneak in some wins and potentially do something in the playoffs, like get there. I don't know.
God, not a fucking chance, bro.
I don't know, man. The NFC's pretty fucking horrible.
Look at the division.
But I don't have any faith in the Falcons to make any plays defensively.
But why? Their defensive actually has been pretty decent. Like
I think they've
been close.
They still gave up 24 points to the Seahawks. They gave up like 30 points to the Rams.
The Rams.
They gave up,
Rams are great.
How many points did they give up to the Saints in Week 1?
Do you think the Saints are better than the record? Those are all good teams, other than Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean the Saints are still 1 and 2. I don't think that. Like I think in that division, I'd definitely rather have the Saints.
Yeah, they gave 31 to Rams and then 27 to the Saints. They lost by one of the Saints at home. I know that's not a road game, but I think they're better than the record, and I kind of like Mariota, to be honest.
I don't mind Mariota from a fantasy perspective. I don't mind this team from a fantasy perspective. I just don't think they have any chance in hell of being any good this year. But I've always been like that. I just hate their front four on both sides of the ball so much. I did have the Saints on here just because I think their defense is still quite good. And anytime you have a good defense, I think you have a chance to win games that you're not supposed to. And I think the offense can get going. They've been very slow to start every game, but they've still been able to put up 300-400 yards of offense in each of those games. So I think if they're better in the first half, which I think they can figure out, eventually they got tons of weapons. Kamara, MT, Olave's looked fantastic. Jarvis Landry's an excellent third wide receiver option. So I think they can bounce back and challenge in the NFC South.
Yeah, I mean, this division's open for business in my opinion. So
yeah, I agree.
Don't hate either of those picks, boys. To be honest, I think the Lions are better than the record. I feel like the Lions with Dan Campbell, just in general, have had that kind of narrative. They've lost so many one-score games. It's actually incredible. It happens every year for whatever reason, but I still think that this team might get going here. Like their schedule moving forward, they play the Seahawks next week, then they have the Patriots, then they get a nice bye, and then they play the Cowboys. So I think they might, if they can get 2 wins out of those 3 games there, I think they can kind of maybe not win this division or be in the battle to win this division, but their offense looks way better. Their defense still has a lot of question marks, I think, for sure. Like their secondary is not very deep, and we're seeing this later on in games. They blew the lead yesterday on Sunday against the Vikings. Similar in week 1, they almost came back, but their defense was already too far gone.
They're the best team at covering ever.
Yeah, they're so good at covering the spread.
Great gritty team. But I don't know that division. As much as I'm a hater of the Vikings. I kind of, as much as they're against my team and in the division, I do like watching them play well.
They have their O-line is looking really good too.
They score points too.
This is one of the top 5 O-lines in the league now, close to it.
Playing well.
They've been playing well, so yeah, I think the Lions at 1 and 2 should definitely be. They could easily be 2 and 1 at this point, and I think with their schedule moving forward, that's pretty evident.
Yeah, the most respected shitty team in the NFL by far.
Sure, 100%.
Always ever since Dan Campbell's brought that energy into the building.
Grit.
Okay, closing things out. I want to talk a little bit about the MVP race. It's obviously still very early. We're only a couple weeks into the year, but I think there's a lot to take away, and I already think that there's significant separation in terms of who can win. If we talk about the non-quarterback position, I mean, I think Diggs is to me defensively, like Micah Parsons is off to a great start. He already has 4 sacks on the year. He's looked great. But that finding a defensive player that can make it happen is really tough. Like TJ Watt, maybe if he was still healthy, even after game 1, he looked unstoppable. So he could have been something. But Diggs is honestly on pace to put up Cooper Kupp's numbers, actually better than Cooper Kupp's numbers through 3 weeks. He's on pace for 153 receptions, 1,955 yards, and 22 touchdowns. Again, it's 3 weeks in, right? 115 yards per game and 1.3 touchdowns per game right now. Kupp was 145, 1947, and 16 touchdowns. So if Diggs put up that line right there, could he win MVP?
I think it would depend on how Jalen Hurts finishes out the year.
And also, does Allen throw 70 touchdowns in that scenario? Would Allen have a lot? Probably.
He'd probably have 45.
50, yeah. So that's my only other thing is the Allen. Matt Excel rush
The way
for
that
yards,
Allen
rush for
rushes
TDs.
too.
I would
Yeah.
love to see a receiver win it, but
I don't think it's
Like, what's
yeah.
the threshold? Like, the perfect
Yeah.
Cup was in the
22
perfect situation.
touchdowns, bro. That's all time.
Yeah, Cup was in the perfect situation because Stafford was still turning the ball over, so he wasn't playing
Yeah.
at that elite level. So I don't think it could really ever happen.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But the two guys I think we should touch on, you mentioned Hurts. Let's start with Hurts, who's first in yards per attempt, third in total yards, has over 67% completion percentage, and he's added 162 yards on the ground. And I mentioned it to you guys at the top. This team's still running the ball on 49% of their plays. What kind of numbers do you have to see from Hurts to be able to win MVP?
I think if he keeps this low turnover rate that he has, essentially zero, I don't think he's gonna have zero for the whole year. But I mean,
If you see a guy like him,
1,000 yards on the ground, like 10 rushing touchdowns, and then like another 40 passing touchdowns.
oh my God, that would be
be-
fucked. But we saw the schedule. Like,
Yeah.
if you're someone who's looking to bet on this stuff, if you look at the schedule,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, like it's one that could lend itself to him putting up some numbers.
I mean, he already has 3 rushing touchdowns. So, like, it's 7 more to get 10. Like, I think he's hitting 10 rushing touchdowns.
Right, but
minimum
I don't
this
think
year.
he's going to throw
Four.
for. If he
only
threw
has
for 30,
If he threw 30, if he did 30 and 10 and had the low turnover, like his
And then,
touchdown to
like,
interception was
1,000
low, like
rushing yards and
or
like
high.
like 30,000, 3,500 passing yards.
he probably need 4.
He's
which would
gonna
be
do
tough.
5,000
You
all
have to hit
purpose.
So many explosive plays,
Yeah.
which he's doing right now. The other guy, because I think these two are the ones that are by far ahead of everybody else.
Well,
Like,
Josh Allen's still a resounding favorite.
Josh Allen's still a resounding favorite.
3 to
yes.
1 compared to 6 to 1 for
Yes.
Hurts.
What about Lamar?
That's what I wanted to touch on, Lamar. So Lamar, we talked about it in that when we were talking about the Dolphins game, and I mentioned like Lamar has been pretty bad against the blitz in his career. The Dolphins love to blitz, and the Patriots tried to do it again, even though Lamar demolished the Dolphins defense when they were blitzing. They blitzed Lamar on 38% of his dropbacks. He was 11 of 12 for 127 yards and 4 touchdowns.
That's incredible.
On the year, he's got an 81% completion percentage, 11.5 yards per attempt, 6 touchdowns, and only 1 turnover-worthy play against the blitz. Ridiculous numbers.
Insane.
So he's
For a guy that can't throw, allegedly.
yes, like the Ravens are just in shambles. The fact they haven't extended this guy because they're
Yeah,
losing
seriously.
games.
The second they didn't extend him, though, I have a plus 1,800 ticket on him to win MVP. I
No
took
way.
It, yeah, plus 1,800. I took it before the season.
That's
Nice.
awesome because
Yeah.
he's now at like what plus 7, plus 800.
Plus 700, yeah.
I mean, he's on a revenge. He wants that fuck you money, bro.
Yeah,
he
he's-
wants the fuck you money. He's gonna go. He's gonna do everything he can. He's like the 4th leading rusher in the NFL.
He has 243 rushing yards right now through 3 weeks.
4th lead. I think it's 4th in the NFL.
Yeah, so he's
Pretty fucking good.
He's had. I'm
First
pretty
in-
sure he's gone back-to-back games with 4 touchdowns and over 100 rushing yards. I think is what the number was.
Did you say back
Or
to back
3
games?
passing touchdowns.
Three plus passing TDs and 100 yards and 1 rushing touchdown in both those games.
Yeah,
That's.
yeah.
I mean, come the fuck
Insane.
on, dude.
If
You'd be
he-
happy if your running back did that just on the ground.
100%. And he could be turning it back to that 2019 year on the ground of running for over 1,000 yards. But now he's an even better passer than he was in that previous year. So
Yeah.
Another interesting stat on Jalen Hurts I just saw. He's the first QB in NFL history to have 900 plus passing yards and 150 plus rushing yards in first 3 games of a year.
yeah, God,
That's elite, bro.
If you go like step by step on Lamar's MVP season and the numbers are pretty similar. I think at this point Lamar had a couple like maybe 100 more yards, but
Rushing.
But Jalen has 1 more touchdown than he did. No, I
100
think all
total,
purpose.
Yeah. I can tell you for free that Lamar wasn't slinging it like I'm seeing Hurts sling it right now.
Yeah, like
That's
in
for
terms
sure.
of like
That year.
actual throwing the ball. Yeah,
the explosiveness on the
Yeah.
passing plays is very good for Hurts so far. Anyone else you guys want to bring up for the MVP race that you'd be considering? We brought up Allen. I mean, he's definitely still
Yeah,
putting up
of
crazy
course.
numbers. I just don't. He's so physical as a runner that it's so scary that he could get hurt.
If he gets hurt, they're in shambles.
Again,
I don't know if
I'd
I'd really look at anybody else to win MVP
No.
at this point.
I don't think so either. Like I don't even like
Maybe-
where Mahomes is at. He's
No,
at a
and
point where he's such.
Rodgers has won it back-to-back now, right?
But Rodgers not winning.
He's not
MVP
winning
this
3
year.
times.
Fuck
No, there's no way.
No.
Stafford, no. Brady, no. Lawrence is close. He's in the range of the Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Burrow, I mean, no, I don't think so. Unless they win every game from now on, and he like doesn't throw another interception. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yep.
So no, I
think
think the top 4, even Mahomes, I wouldn't bet on Mahomes right now. I'd rather Tua at 14-1 instead of Mahomes at 7-1.
Yeah, Tua. I mean, if Tua was in the conversation, that would mean Tyreek or Waddle are having just a ridiculous year.
Which they're all. I mean, they're both having.
Waddle's
Tyreek Hill had a down week. Yeah. All right. That's everything for week 3.
Doing
NFL,
football.
guys. I love doing this show
Yeah,
and just going through the week. It's a good time. So if you guys do enjoy, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Go check out our friends over at Betfred. Bet 50, get 250. Put that shit down on the Bengals on Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
Minus the 3. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you guys on the next one.